We just got our first look at Overwatch 2's newest support, LIFEWEAVER, and in the new gameplay trailer, he's got some insane looking abilities. So let's break down what we just saw and maybe make some guesses about how he's going to play out in game once he's released in Season 4. If you guys like this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know down in the comments what was the most hype part of the trailer for you. What part of LIFEWEAVER's kit are you most excited to use? Don't forget to go check out GameLeap.com. Over there, you can use our hundreds of guides made by top level coaches to help you improve at any aspect of the game. So whether you're a beginner or you're trying to push to a new peak this season, you'll find something that can help you climb. So head on over to GameLeap.com and get your membership started today. His first ability from his healing flowers, it appears to be AoE. We can see it healing both Sojourn and Soldier in the opening clip of the trailer, and it appears to charge, maybe similar to Symmetra's secondary fire. We know this hero has ties to the Vishkar, similar to Symmetra in the lore, and it's possible the devs pulled some inspiration from that backstory when designing their kit here. When we first get a look at LIFEWEAVER's POV here on Eichenwald, it looks like his flowers are growing as he's casting his healing ability, which implies to me that this is a charging effect which allows him to do more healing the longer he holds down this ability. It could just be a really long cast time, but to me that seems this would make this hero really clunky to play, so I don't think that's the direction they're going. Additionally, it looks like this healing locks onto your allies as you're casting it, so you don't have to worry about missing your shots when you're healing here. This is going to be a fairly simple character to play, at least mechanically, when it comes to your healing. So I would compare this healing very closely to Briggs repair packs, but I'm guessing they pack a bit more of a punch than that and maybe have the AoE effects of something like Baptiste healing grenades. Moving on, the next ability we see in the trailer is LIFEWEAVER's ability to pull allies to his location. It's shown in the trailer to prevent an environmental kill against his ally Symmetra, but this has tons of potential synergy that I can imagine in game. Just imagine being able to jump in as someone like Winston or Doomfist or Genji, use your whole kit, and then be able to get out safely without needing to use your own cooldowns. Being able to get pulled back by LIFEWEAVER in that way seems like it'll enable so much aggression from other members on your team. Admittedly, the first reaction I had when I saw this ability was thinking about potential ways you could troll your allies. But thankfully, someone on Twitter, one of the Overwatch League pros, has clarified online that this is an ability that needs to be confirmed by your allies. This is something probably similar to Symmetra's teleport, where the ally needs to opt in to actually use this ability, so you can't just cast it on your Doomfist as he's charging up a punch, or cast it on your Lucio as he's trying to use a sound barrier, as OG tweets here. Overall, this ability seems insanely broken to me, and I'm guessing it's going to have a pretty long cooldown to compensate for that fact, probably around the 15-second range similar to Kiriko's Suzu. Could you imagine running around and having to deal with allies being pulled around left and right every 5 seconds? That just seems a little crazy to me, even for Overwatch standards. Alright, so after I recorded this section, OG posted a new tweet saying that he was just baiting and you don't need to accept the interaction for LIFEWEAVER to pull you to his location. Personally, I think this is a bad choice if this is actually going through. I don't know what to believe anymore, so I don't know what's really the case. We're not going to know until we get our hands on the hero. But if this is something you don't need to confirm, I would like to see that added to the game. I think that would be a nice touch to prevent accidentally griefing your teammates and making sure that the person in control of their hero is actually in control of their hero. But that's just my take. In this next clip, we see two abilities, a dash, which looks pretty straightforward, as well as this casted flower platform that can lift enemies, and I'm assuming allies, off the ground high up into the air. We'll talk a little bit more about this dash in a second, but first, this flower platform looks crazy, right? So obviously there's a lot of potential here for verticality for otherwise grounded heroes, LIFEWEAVER himself included, I'm assuming, but for counterplay even, that's shown here used against an ulting Orisa to completely negate the value of her Terra Surge. Luckily for when you're playing against LIFEWEAVER in your upcoming games next season, it looks like this platform has some counterplay potential to it as well. It looks like damage will just straight up destroy it, since when Orisa finishes casting her ultimate, the platform shatters into these pieces and then she falls back to the ground. It's possible that this platform just has a set duration and it's breaking itself at the exact moment that Orisa ult is also finishing, but I doubt it. In this clip, we also get a glimpse of LIFEWEAVER going for some damage. He appears to shoot out thorns as a secondary fire out of the same gauntlet that he uses for healing. This looks like it fires incredibly quickly, almost comparable to Bastion in his turret form as we see them side by side here, but also it is a projectile, so it's going to be harder to hit, and the spread on it seems fairly unforgiving. It's going to be hard to hit targets outside of close to maybe mid-range with this ability. My first instinct is to compare this damage ability to something like Tracer's pulse pistols, not necessarily in terms of damage, but in terms of effective range. You're really not going to do anything besides tickle your opponents when they're too far away from you. In this next clip, we get a much better look at what LIFEWEAVER's dash looks like outside of his POV, and it appears to have some healing effects tied to it. The flowers on LIFEWEAVER's back turn a bright yellow yellow whenever he uses his dash. So one, that makes it very visually clear whenever this cooldown is being used, so you can track his dashes similar to Tracer's blinks, but also everything in this game that is yellow is a healing effect. This is likely going to be some sort of short range AoE healing around him, or maybe even just some self heal to help with survivability. We see that LIFEWEAVER has at least 2 charges of his dash here. I would assume no more than 2 either, since we never see him dash more than twice in a row throughout this entire trailer. So it's not quite as strong as Tracer's blink with 3 charges. It might not recharge as fast as well, we don't know yet, but it seems like that's more than enough to get around the map and keep yourself alive in dueling situations. You could use this dash to keep up with aggressive members on the flank, like keeping up with an ally Tracer or a Genji or something like that, but I would definitely recommend saving this as a defensive cooldown, since you clearly don't have abilities like recall like those other flankers do. And then of course we get to see LIFEWEAVER's ultimate, this gigantic tree of life that appears to provide AoE healing to every ally in its radius. The radius of the healing effect looks something similar to Transcendence, but obviously the tree can't move around like Zenyatta can with that ultimate, but also LIFEWEAVER gets to fully act and use the rest of his kit while this ultimate is on the field. I strongly doubt that this tree is going to provide a massive amount of healing. I would not compare it to Transcendence, for example, but maybe something closer to either Brigitte's Inspire or maybe even Lucio with his Amp heal, something around that range. Because LIFEWEAVER can still act independently of the tree, he can stack his own heals on top of this effect, and of course your other support can as well. So this isn't going to be the highest healing output ability, but it is going to stack up a lot of different healing effects at once. Additionally, this appears to be a fully deployable and destructible object in-game comparable to Mei's Wall. So while this isn't shown in the trailer, I would assume that this will prevent people, both allies and enemies, from walking through the tree, potentially allowing you to block off an exit or a sightline from enemy heroes. But also in this frame in the trailer, we do see cracks growing around the tree, which compared to every other ability in the game, again, shields, Mei walls, and things like that, they will crack and start to break down before they get destroyed. So while it is possible, this is it just at the end of its cycle, at the end of the timer that this ultimate is allowed to exist on the field for, I strongly believe that this is going to be based on the amount of damage it takes. And again, there should be some counterplay here where the enemy can destroy the tree to deny all that healing. And those are all the abilities we saw in the trailer. Now, I don't know if you guys have been counting, but there appears to be one too many abilities on this hero. We have his healing flowers and thorn projectiles as presumably his primary and secondary fires, his dash as his movement ability, but then we also have 2 utility abilities in his lifting platform and the ally pull. If I had to guess, I would assume this is something similar to Moira with both her damage and healing orb. You can cast the ability and then choose which one of them you want to use in the moment. This could mean that, again, I said the ally pull probably has a very long and punishing cooldown. This might also apply to the platform that you're able to lift. Maybe if you use one, you can't use the other. That's definitely my first guess, but it's also theoretically possible that we're getting another transformation hero in LIFEWEAVER here, similar to Ramatra, for example. Ramatra has a ton of different abilities, and the way they balance that out is by having him swap between different forms and different abilities unlock depending on which form you're in. There are also a couple of clues that maybe I'm reading far too much into throughout the trailer, where it highlights LIFEWEAVER turning his gauntlet into a more thorned version for him to start doing damage. Now, potentially with this transformation, you could even lock his damage behind it and have a healing form where he's able to throw out flowers and pull his allies to him, and then a damage form where he's able to shoot projectiles and use that platform, or vice versa. I'm not really sure. Again, this is theoretically possible, but I do strongly doubt it. And again, to sort of reinforce that it's probably 2 abilities on the same keybind, we do see very similar hand animations for when he's about to cast his life grip or his platform ability, and he's also both holding a flower in his primary hand in both of these animations, so I'm guessing he just has the one form and it's just a difference of ability choice. Overall, LIFEWEAVER looks insanely fun to play, and I'm glad they're adding in another support that is so heavily focused on healing and not just trying to mix in the maximum amount of damage possible while also doing a little bit of healing on the side like some of the recent supports they've added. Personally, I can see this hero working in so many different types of compositions. You could pull him out in a grounded brawl-based composition and then use that AoE healing and platform to lift yourself up to high grounds. You could use him in a dive-based composition, and since his healing locks on to his target, it won't be hard to hit those fast-moving flankers, and again, you've got your dash to keep up, and of course your pull to save allies from danger if they get too aggressive. There's just so much potential for fun with with this hero, I think. And I think all these unique mechanics that they're adding with him don't break the game, but add a lot of potential synergy that I can't wait to see players pull out in-game. And those are all my thoughts of LIFEWEAVER based on everything we saw in this newest gameplay trailer. But I'm sure there's going to be so much new stuff we're going to discover about him as soon as he's released in Season 4 and players can really get their hands on him. Don't forget to go check out GameLeap.com. Over there you can use our hundreds of guides made by top level coaches to help you improve at any aspect of the game. So whether you're a beginner or you're trying to push to a new peak this season, you'll find something that can help you climb. So head on over to GameLeap.com and get your membership started today. That's going to be all from me today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.